This meeting of the Littleton Licensing Authority will come to order. The city clerk, please call the roll.
Authority Chair Bradish.
Here.
Vice Chair Cole.
Here.
Authority Member Buchanan. Authority Member Levere.
Here.
Authority Member Mather.
Here.
Authority Member Schock.
Here.
Authority Member Webb.
Here.
We do have a quorum. Next item, approval of the agenda. Do I hear a motion that we approve the agenda?
I move we approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Agenda is approved. Next item is the certification, approval of the certification of last month's minutes.
I move to approve, based on the clerk's certification, the January 13th video recording as the minutes for the January 13th, 2016 regular session of the Littleton Licensing Authority. Second.
I have a question about that. We've also got a copy of the minutes, a printed copy. Is there
You
a
actually have a
reason?
copy of the journal. The journal only shows motion and action taken on that motion. So it's different than written minutes. It's just so that you can make sure that I captured
All
the
items.
motions.
And if there were ever an issue, the video controls, right?
Yes.
The video services the,
Yes.
does the record. Yeah.
And this will be the practice
Yes.
for every, thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the certification of the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
No opposed? Next item of business, item 7A. Hearing on a renewal application for Faux Real LLC, doing business as Faux Real, 2399 West Main Street, in Littleton, Colorado. We have 4 exhibits, is that correct?
Correct.
I'll move that we enter exhibits A through D.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. In the matter of Faux Real, City Attorney have a statement?
Sure, let me just give you some background. So on January 13th, the authority set this matter for a public hearing. This is on a renewal application. For Faux Real, they received their license from the authority in, I believe, November of 2014. When they submitted their application, on the renewal application, the applicant indicated that he had been convicted of a crime since the date of filing the last application. And he provided a detailed explanation. It's a felony drug conviction concerning possession, manufacturing of an illegal substance with intent to distribute. So you will note that there were, originally the charges were 3 drug felonies, 2 were dismissed by the DA, but the 3rd charge was a guilty, and it is a felony conviction. These offenses occurred on January 8th, 2015. And then also on the arrest report from the Colorado Bureau of Investigation on February 11th, 2015, the applicant, it's also noted, was cited with failure to appear. And so I don't know if you would like more information from the applicant on that. So this was brought before you. The statutes provide that one of the reasons for refusing to renew a license is if the licensee or applicant has violated, does not meet, or has failed to comply with any of the terms, conditions, or provisions of the liquor code, including the statutes and rules and regulations. And in particular, the statute provides that no license shall be issued or held by any person unless the person's character, record, and reputation are satisfactory to the licensing authority. And in particular, Regulation 47310E2, which is a liquor regulation, provides that when you're looking at character, record, and reputation, you can consider whether the applicant has a criminal history of crimes of moral turpitude, and that can either be a felony conviction or a crime of moral turpitude. And the, the regulations provide as examples of crimes of moral turpitude murder, burglary, robbery, arson, kidnapping, sexual assault, illegal drugs or narcotics convictions. So in this case, we have both a felony and what would be considered a crime of moral turpitude because it is a drug narcotics conviction. When you consider this, additionally, the statutes require that you take into account the circumstances connected with the conviction and whether the applicant has been rehabilitated and is ready to accept responsibility as a law-abiding and productive member of society. So you need to look at other information that will be provided tonight by the applicant, including that evidence of rehabilitation, character references, educational achievements, especially pertaining to the period of time between the last criminal conviction, which is January of 2015, and the consideration of the application now.
Was that January 2015? Oh, yeah, sorry, a little over a year ago.
Yes.
Counselor, can you provide us additional details on the conviction? Was it a plea bargain, a trial by jury, or a plea of guilty by the defendant?
I believe it was I don't know. I can't say. So I would ask the applicant, and then perhaps Sergeant Hampton, looking at the CBI report, could tell us.
I can't tell.
Okay, we can't tell.
And who was the prosecuting authority? The Second Judicial District? Or the State Attorney General's office?
It says the DA, but
I don't know, I'm sorry.
That could also mean the Attorney General, I suppose. Staff recommended that we review the minutes from the November 14th hearing. Did everyone get a chance to do that?
I did not. I missed that in the packet.
And did you get
I
a
did
chance to
not
review
either.
that?
I didn't see it on the packet.
It was actually a link to the original hearing for the applicant, not the minutes.
Is Faux Real represented by counsel? Are you going to represent yourself? You may come forward.
How's it going?
Raise your right hand, please.
Yes, sir.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give before this authority is truthful?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
State your name, please.
My name is Trong Hugh Nguyen. I'm the owner of Faux Real LLC.
You heard some of the questions we just asked among ourselves. Could you enlighten us on?
Yes, sir. I can definitely do that. Well, like the lady was saying, in November I applied for my liquor license. You guys were all gracious enough to look past my past records and allowed me to have the liquor license. I want to note, since then, we've been open, we've been servicing the community, servicing the patrons. We've not had any write-ups, had nothing to do with the liquor. Everything we operate is, on integrity and honesty at the restaurant. It's a family restaurant. It's ran well. It has done better. The restaurant's done better since you guys have allowed me to have the liquor license. Not that overwhelmingly in liquor sales, but it gives everybody an option if they're going as a group. If somebody wants a beer, then they do choose Faux Real as one of the lists on their places to go. So I appreciate that. My waiters obviously have made a little bit more money in tips, so definitely it's helped them out because a little bit of liquor sales on top of the food adds a little bit more value to the tickets. So everybody has benefited from that. Now, as far as my convictions go, as of January of 2015, I don't know if the board member here has all recalled watching the news at all, but every day on the news, you'd see a home explosion. Home explosion, somebody's trying to blast concentrates in their garage and endangering everybody. Well, I'm sitting on the couch and I'm like, well, why is there not a facility where it's safe, where they can take their trim and their excess and have it processed safely in a non-residential environment, in a commercial building, standalone building, using the equipment that other dispensaries are allowed to use to make their own concentrates, a processing center. Now, the law is that a processing center with a license cannot take the public's trim. Now, in the state of Colorado, if you're over the age of 21, you're allowed to grow 6 plants legally per the state statutes. So everybody that does grow, they do have extra trim, but they have nowhere to process it. So I, myself, as kind of a pioneer, thought of it as a business idea, went to a marijuana attorney in Boulder, and they told me, that's $1 million idea. I'm like, look, I'm not growing anything, and I'm not selling anything. I'm gonna open up a business in a standalone building, commercial building like you would normally have, that processes the public stuff. I considered it like a laundromat. They would bring their product in, I would process it for them, give it back to them, and just charge them a service fee to do it safely and in a controlled environment. So, like I said, the attorneys thought it was $1 million idea. I thought it was $1 million idea. I thought I was helping the community because there was no rules saying that you can't do that. I figured I'd actually get more of a pat on the back than handcuffs, to tell you the truth. I took a risk in business, but I thought it was a great business idea. I'm helping out. Like I said, I was doing it to help the community. You bring your stuff in, you process it safely, you take it home, the same stuff that you would normally pay a lot of money for in a dispensary. So instead of forcing people to do it in their basements or in a garage and blowing up every day, I decided to do something about it, and I registered the business with the state of Colorado. It was in a standalone building. It was everything that you could possibly want legally. It wasn't like in a basement or anything crazy. And like I said, I sought counsel and everybody said it was okay. And then the Denver Sheriff's Department thought differently. Now, as far as the processing and the manufacturing part of it, that was not found to be illegal because it was not illegal at the time for people to do that. Okay, it was the leftover product that the people had dropped off. The trim that has already been processed, I had it in a trash bag, not thrown it in the dumpster, waiting for a good way to get rid of it without putting it back into the community. And that's when they came, and that's what I got charged with. I got charged with trim and stuff that wasn't even mine. That was stuff, and the way I looked at it, yeah, was there a lot of it? Yes, there was a lot of trim that I helped a lot of people with medical cards and patients process. But the way I looked at it is those trim is preventing a lot of people from blowing up, as far as I'm concerned. And to take fall for it, yeah, I accepted a deal because it looked on my past record. And due to my past record, it was either take a deal from what they gave me, and if I fought it and I lose, then I would go to prison. And so my lawyer was like, well, you can fight it, and we do have a chance of winning because you were not doing anything wrong, but you do take the risk of going to prison if you lose, so you better just take their deal. So in return, I took a deal. I am on probation for 4 years. It's unsupervised. They treat it like it was a business that didn't get a license. I do my community service, and yeah, in the city and county of Denver, that's what I'm doing for my convictions on this case. Now, as far as I did sit back there and I heard you guys talk about moral character and everything. My moral character is the same as when you guys first saw me here. I'm just trying to make a living, being honest, and I thought it was a great business idea. It was not anywhere to be malicious, to break laws, to be underground, to be doing crime-filled stuff, and I understand as a pioneer, I'm gonna take some chances. I took my chances and I lost. But with that, I am under probation for 4 years, so it's not like I'm doing anything bad or anything wrong. I'm under probation for 4 years with them. And if I mess up my probation, I'm going to go to prison for like 4 years. So am I taking it serious? I'm taking it very seriously. But as far as my liquor license is concerned, I hope that you can see past all that and generally see who I am as moral character. I'm operating a business in your community, your downtown area. I'm servicing the patrons. I got 94 Yelp reviews. Obviously, not all of them are going to be great, but the one thing you will notice on all of them that is our service is good, and we try to maintain dignity there. Everything's good. We haven't had any nuisances, no complaints, and I hope that you allow me to continue to operate my family business with my liquor license that you allowed me a year ago that I have not done anything wrong with. I have operated it, no underage serving or anybody getting too drunk or any kind of complaints or disturbances in the community. And, and honestly, the liquor license is for the patrons. I mean, they're the ones who really wanted it, pushed for to have it. And I just, like I said, I came before you guys gave me that opportunity, and I just want to continue to service my community and operate. And it affects, like I said, it just doesn't affect myself. And it's not my own personal liquor license. It's For Real's liquor license that's in your community there. But it affects a lot of people, the patrons that come in. They enjoy maybe a beer with some appetizer, I don't know, glass of wine. It's not like it's a big part of my sales. But like I also said, it gives people options when they go out with a group of friends. Hey, one person wants a beer, we can still come to For Real because they do serve beer and wine. And just, like I said, it helps everybody. I mean, it helps everybody as far as, and I don't want to see them suffer for something that I was attempting to do, I don't want my waiters to suffer and get less tips. And it does generate money for the business, and that helps the kitchen staff and everybody that works there. As the business prospers, the landlord prospers, everybody prospers. So, like I said, I'm hoping that you guys can see past all that and allow me to continue doing the right thing down here in your community. And I am sorry for what's happened. That's the best way I can explain it. And if there's any other questions that you guys have for me, I would be more than happy to honestly answer all your questions.
What's the current status of Gray Area LLC?
We closed it. So we closed it all down. Everything got closed down. And
LLC is closed down also?
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Did you have a lease on this commercial space?
Yes, I did, sir.
You still have the lease?
I do have the lease. I just don't have it with me. I do have a lease on the commercial space and everything, yes.
And the extraction machine, you still own it?
No, sir. Denver County.
Did you ever own it?
I did own it. I bought it from a place that sells it's a Colorado-made machine, and they sell the same machine to the extraction places that are currently open right now for the dispensaries and the medical and the recreational.
So let me see if I understand this. There are other companies, other people who are performing the service that you attempted to perform,
Yes, sir.
and they're still in business,
Yes, sir.
but you were charged with a crime.
Yes, sir.
What's the difference?
The difference is that I was taking in the public trim, like yourself or anybody else that has a little grow in their house or whatever, and they had leftovers to make their concentrates for them. As far as the places that are still open, they cannot take the public's trim. They can only grow their own medical marijuana or marijuana to process, or they can take trim from dispensaries that have grows to process. So basically, there is not a service for the public that does that. And that's what I was attempting to do, was to provide a service for the public. Give them a way out instead, in my thinking, instead of blowing up in their garage, giving them a way out, just like, hey, bring it here, we'll process it correctly, and then we'll charge you a minimal fee for just processing it for you. No grow, no sell of anything.
But your conviction wasn't for the processing.
It was for
the quantity of the trim
That was left over, yes, ma'am.
left over.
That was left over,
And you
yeah.
hadn't disposed of.
That I hadn't disposed of it yet correctly.
So it was part of your, what they came up with, the conviction. Were you required to close your business?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. And I'm also, a part of my conviction is that I will not be any kind of involved in marijuana business for the next 4 years, or while I'm on probation.
And then what was the failure to appear in February?
I do not know what the failure to appear was in February. I believe that's when they must have issued a warrant out for my arrest, and then I turned myself in. That might be
This is-
the failure to
Wasn't a
appear.
failure to appear at a hearing?
No, no, sir. No, sir.
Because
I went to-
that's what it says.
Yeah, no, I've gone to every hearing, and everything has been taken care of for that.
Mr. Nguyen, provide us the details of your arrest. Who arrested you, the Denver Police or the Marijuana Enforcement Division?
It was the Denver Police Department, sir.
Okay. And were you arrested, or were you charged and then turned yourself in?
I was charged and turned myself in, sir.
Okay. And at the time of your hearing, were you represented by counsel?
Yes, I was.
Okay, and counsel advised you to take a plea bargain?
Yes, sir.
Okay, did you realize the ramifications of the plea bargain?
I certainly did. I mean, I knew that this day would probably have to come because I really asked him about that, about how that would affect my liquor license in Littleton. And the answer I got from them is that they did not know. So then, like I said, I went forward with it and applied for it. As far as the other thing goes, I mean, it was something, my past record is stuff that I've done a long, long time ago. This is stuff that obviously does not justify who I am as a man today. It was stuff that I did when I was a kid. The Denver Police Department and the Sheriff's Department couldn't look past that like everything else and use that basically to be like, look, if you don't take something, this is what we're going to give you. And in return, to be honest with you, I felt that if I did not have my prior record, then I would have fought it all the way through. And I believe that I could have probably won that case, but it was just too much risk at the line. I can't risk 4 years of freedom for something like that. I mean, it was...
So at the time of your deliberations about taking a plea bargain, were you cognizant that it may have an impact and imperil your Littleton liquor license?
Yes, I did, Your Honor. Yes, I did, sir. I did. And I figured I would come in for you if it did and explain to you. And to be honest, it was just honesty. Basically, everything I've done since the time I've seen you is with integrity and honesty. I haven't lied about anything. I didn't lie to the Denver Police Department. Everything that happened was really transparent. It was black and white. It wasn't, I had cameras everywhere, just like a normal processing center would have with DVR recordings. So it wasn't like I was hiding anything. It was all on record and on film and everything. And I thought it was a great idea to service the community.
Before you opened the business, did you go to the marijuana licensing division and ask about the steps to acquire a license for a processing facility?
And there isn't, like I said, there was not a license.
That's not
for
my
that.
question. My question is, did you go to the marijuana licensing authority division and ask about a license?
No,
to
sir,
open
I
a
did not.
processing
I talked to my
facility?
attorney out in Boulder that is involved with all the marijuana licensing stuff, and he said that there was no licensings to obtain for that. So it was just a gray area to really speak of it all. So no, I did not go to the authority. And did my attorney go? He did not go either.
Let's go in another direction. How many employees do you have at Fall Real?
For real, I have 5 waiters and I have 6 kitchen staff, sir. So roughly about 11 employees.
And how long does your lease run?
My lease is for 5 years, sir. So I still have 3 years left.
Okay. Is that a building owned by Mr. Mareb?
Yes, sir, it is.
I'm still confused about the evidence, the trim. After you've run the trim through this extractor process,
Yes, sir.
you've extracted all the THC and whatever it is that makes marijuana
Yes, sir.
out of it.
Yes, sir.
What's left?
It's just pretty much just the leaves, hemp. And that's one of the things that my attorney and myself was going to use in court. Like, well, there's nothing left in there. It's just trash. It's pretty much like just leaves, And
You couldn't get high from it
no, you
in
cannot
any
have,
manner?
No, you cannot have it. Like I said, the majority of it was in trash bags outside of the building. The building was fenced in and everything else. And the reason why it wasn't in a dumpster, once again, I just didn't want somebody to get into it. So I was getting a proper way to get rid of it. Instead of just throwing it in the alley dumpster, I just didn't want anybody else to get into it or something. So I had it there on the side of my building, and basically that's what I'm getting charged with. I know it sounds kind of absurd, and it's something that like I said, I really honestly, truly believe that I could have fought and took it all the way down there. But with the past record held above me in my head like that, it's like, you don't want to risk that. I don't want to go back,
How did the police department find out about this excess stuff that you had?
Well, they came and raided the building in the middle of the night, which I don't understand why. They could have just came and knocked on the door. It was on 9th and Federal, right in Denver, right there, and there was nothing that was hidden there. So there was a name on there. Everything was there. The way they said is they said they had an undercover informant tell them about it, and like I said, it wasn't like it was something that they had to have an undercover informant. It was right out in the open. I was honestly expecting them to come and knock on the door so we would go through some kind of process with the medical marijuana division where there is no license for what I was doing. So I was, like I said, it was pretty much a pioneer on the whole thing. And I was really anticipating just like when the whole marijuana thing opened up. Was it legal? Was it illegal? People opened up everywhere, officers showing up. Then they kind of broke it into law in each different city, and everybody got their own thing. I figured it was kind of the same thing. And I did not honestly figure it was going to be any kind of illegal, since I wasn't selling anything or growing anything. It was stuff that was already there. And I wasn't selling anybody's stuff back to them. It was just to pay me for a processing fee where we had a closed loop system and no gases were extracted. Everything was in a machine that was perfectly safe and that they're still using to this day, and that it would make sense. And
Who did the work at Gray Area?
I hired somebody to do the work.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was
So-
the end product your customers received? Was it hash oil or wax or shatter or?
Yes, sir. It was the wax.
It was the wax?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
How long had you been in business before you were raided?
Well, I was in business for about 4 months, ma'am.
Okay.
About 4 months.
And when the police came in, were the bags in the building or were they outside of the building?
They were outside on the side of the building, in the back. But it was, like I said, it was a fenced-in area.
Okay.
So it was all fenced in. It wasn't even inside the building. It was in trash bags, ready to be disposed of.
As soon as you figured out how to dispose of them?
Yeah, I just didn't want to throw it in the dumpster. I just felt that that would be very irresponsible. So that's the reason I didn't. I mean, there was a dumpster within walking distance.
What was your plan to dispose of it?
Well, my plan was I was going to call the same places that the marijuana people use to dispose of their stuff, to come around and pick up their stuff for them. Just kind of the same as the grows and everything else that's allowed here in the state of Colorado.
How did your customers find you? How did you advertise or market your business?
Well, a lot of it was red card holders, so more or less it was a word of mouth. You know, I told some people, they're like, oh, this is this great place, everything's safe. We just go in there, we drop off our stuff, he gives us back our product, and he charges us a service fee. And for them to get their product, it was a lot cheaper, cost efficient than it was for getting it from the store.
When the product left your building, what was your understanding of what was to happen to that product? Was the customer to use it, or was the customer free to dispose of it as they wished?
Well, it was for the customer to use it. So we were only processing, because they can only have so much on them at a time. We only process so much of your trim for you at a time, so that the product that you took with you maintains within the 7-gram rule, I believe, with the state of Colorado. But before that, I believe it was an ounce rule. I think they just changed it to a 7-gram rule as far as how much concentrates you can have.
So you kept every customer's trim and finished product separate?
Yes, sir.
Why didn't you just give them the excess trim back?
The trim was already done. I mean, it was, when you put the gases through the trim is what comes out with the product. After that, the trim was just dark and brown, and it was just dumped into a trash bag. It was no longer valued. I guess as far as that goes, that probably would have been a better business plan, to give them back their trim along with their product. Then I probably wouldn't have been charged with all that trim. Yes, sir. But like I said, at the time, it wasn't over the point of it being illegal or trying to maneuver around the laws. It was really, like I keep saying, it was really to provide a service for the community. I was like, wow, this is a great idea. It's like a laundromat. In my mind, it's like a laundromat. You bring in something dirty, I clean it up for you, I give you back your product. And like it's also said at the time, I mean, every time you turned on the news, it was a new home explosion and people were catching fire to everything. And it's like, and yeah, I saw a lot of people complain about it, and I saw officers complain about it. And they're saying, well, in the rules, that they can do this in their garage because nobody says you can't weld in your garage with gases that are dangerous. And yeah, and people are blown up. So I'm like, well, instead of just pointing the fingers all over every direction, I'm going to open up something that can help that situation. And I honestly thought it was going to be $1 million idea, and this is where it landed me. So it sounded like a really good idea.
Has the rules, the laws, the enforcement code, has this caught up with this business idea now? I mean, since you've closed?
Yes, sir, it has. They did pass a rule in July saying that there is no processing to be allowed for people.
For the public or commercial or both?
Commercial, they're still okay, but just in public. But the commercial one is just, once again, just for the dispensaries. So hence then it forced a lot of people to go underground, and then I saw a couple more explosions since then, where it blew the bricks off the facade of buildings, and just dangerous. Open gas cans, gas out there, and it's in the neighborhood, you know? And like I said, I thought there would be a great understanding, and I believe that if I could have went in front of a jury and told them my situation and the way I was doing things and showed them the videos of what I was doing, I believe that they would have saw it my way, that I was really trying to provide a service for a community that desperately needed it at the time, you know, with a lot of people going indoors and endangering everybody around them. I mean, I saw in the Denver Council, I mean, I did my news on it. I didn't just do it out of a whim. I read on there, and people that were burning down whole buildings, they didn't even get charged. Why? Because the building caught on fire and it burned all the evidence, you know? And so they didn't even get charged. What do they get? Like, some got a little arson charge or maybe a reckless endangerment. A lot of them didn't even get a charge because the attorneys got them to get away with it because they're saying it was okay for them to do it. There was a rule that says they couldn't do it, that it was okay for them to process in their garage because there's not a rule that says they couldn't do it. Instead of just saying, hey, this is, I figure with every business, a little bit branches off of it. You know, I mean, I've lived in America. Every time there's something, a spontaneous order of a business that opens up, little things branch off of it. And I felt like the business that I was trying to start was something that was branching off of the marijuana business, you know, that was going to actually help people instead of being where I'm at. And that's where I come before you now. And like I said, I'm just asking for the same opportunities. I know that a lot of it deals with the moral characters. And I'm presenting to you that I'm just a regular person trying to take care of his family, taking care of the community, taking care of the business. And I do things honestly and out in front and out in the open. And sometimes if it comes up and it slaps me in the face, well, I'm gonna have to take that. And I'm gonna have to accept it and own it, which I do. And I don't blame that on anybody else. You know, it is what it is. I try to do something and it didn't work out in my favor. Hence, I'm doing community service. I'm on 4 years probation. I can not get in any trouble in the state of Colorado, or else I go to prison for 4 years. I mean, I'm just, it's effect, yeah. I mean, I'm taking it the way it goes down. That's the way the ball bounces. And you can't say life isn't fair. Is it fair? Is it not fair? I don't know. All I know is I'm trying to be honest in front of you guys right now, and I'm asking you for the same thing. You know, you guys helped me out last time and looked past my record and let me allow to have the liquor license. Well, if we're going to talk about the liquor license, honestly, I've operated every means possible. I cherish the license, and I'm operating on an honest business in your community, in your town, and servicing the patrons and trying to get ready what they need without breaking any laws on that aspect of it. And I'm going to continue to try to do it that way without breaking any laws, because I'm under scrutiny right now by the Denver, and I'm being looked at. And not that I would want to go break any laws, but obviously it's going to definitely keep me on the more of the right side of the fence.
In your application for your license renewal, you were upfront that you had been convicted of a crime, if I read it correctly.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You did inform the state.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And, you know, and like you said too, I mean, on my email from Khalid, you know, I mean, the Littleton Police Department, they cleared me for everything, and everything was clear. The only thing was my self-admittance of the crime that I did, and I did do that. I mean, all that on there, it happened. But it didn't happen the way that it might sound on paper. It wasn't malicious. It wasn't criminal activities. It wasn't to do with smuggling or anything like that. It was right out in the open. It was a business idea that just did not fall in my favor, that's all. And that's where I stand with that. You know, if there's anything else you guys want to know, I mean, like I said, it's an open book. There's nothing really crazy about what I did. It was really something that I really thought was a good idea. To this day, I still think it's a good idea, but.
So you said you're on probation for 4 years,
Yes, ma'am.
and you're doing community service.
Yes, ma'am.
How often do you have to report to a probation officer
Yes.
on a regular?
Yes,
what-
I started out, I reported to the Denver Probation Department twice already, and after they read through my case and the severity of everything, they've switched me over to phone check-ins once a month. I do a phone check-in, I call, I verify employment, and verify where I'm living, and I'm down to, like I said, I'm down to phone calls now. So it isn't as severe as, I mean, it is, but it isn't as severe as any other case. They looked at it twice. They understood my situation. They read, they saw where I was coming from with it, and they immediately switched me over to unsupervised probation because they had felt that I'm not a risk. And I do own a business, and I do pay all my taxes, and everything is on the upfront.
Are you required to do community service for 4 years,
50 hours, ma'am.
50 hours?
50 hours. And they didn't give me classes or drug classes or any of that other stuff because the judge, even himself, it was like, this is a business case. This isn't a drug case. It was somebody attempting to do a business. So I didn't have any of those cognitive classes and all the other classes that would normally carry with a drug case.
In your letter to us, it says you've owned 2 dispensaries in the past.
Yes, ma'am, I did. I opened up 2 dispensaries in 2009, and that's where I referenced it in the very beginning. Obviously, I didn't know if it was illegal or legal. They're saying it was legal. Federally, it was illegal. I opened them up. Officers showed up at the door. Everything kind of just worked its way through the process that it would. The reason I don't own them anymore is because of my felony conviction when I was 18 years old. And since then, I mean, like I said, I was like 38 at the time, and it still was for a lifetime is what the state had decided. Even though Denver County and Inglewood, the council, Inglewood and Denver was okay with me having a dispensary and giving me a license in their city, the state came up with a license that I could not clear for. So,
So it sounds like maybe being involved in the marijuana industry in Colorado isn't working too well for you.
definitely not a part of anything that is going to work for me. You are correct. It was my last attempt at something, a part of the business. It did not work out for me, and like I said, there was no interest in it for me anymore whatsoever. I've further moved on. I do real estate. I bought a house in Littleton. I'm doing builds. I got a build in Parker that I'm building a house from the ground up. So just moved over to real estate and just kind of left everything behind where they're at and operate my restaurant, and that's it. I mean, like I said, the only thing that really even happened me to be back into the business was A, I thought it was $1 million idea once again, and B, I thought it was a great idea. I honestly, like I said, I thought I was gonna get, I was like saying, I'll get the Nobel Peace Prize for this one because I'm really doing something positive. I was like, this is so positive. When you just turn on and boom, somebody's blowing up, and it was so dangerous, and it's in Mesa, and it's in Grand Junction, it's in Colorado Springs, and it's all around us. It's in Wheat Ridge, it's all around us, and I'm like, this would solve everything. This would solve everybody's, give the people an outlet to take their stuff somewhere. Because you allow them to grow it, you allow everybody, well, the state does, the state allows everybody to grow it that's over the age of 21. Well, give them an avenue to take their stuff somewhere instead of trying to do it in their garage and endangering everybody else around them with open gases, and do it in the right machine and in the right format. I believed it to be a good thing. My lawyer thought it was going to be a good thing, and obviously it was not as good as I thought. So, and it cost me, cost me everything. It could cost me everything, and I'm hoping that it doesn't cost me my liquor license and my opportunity to just do business, normal and like a normal person. I mean, I don't feel like I'm different than anybody else. I just trying to make a living.
What would be the effect on your business if you didn't get your liquor license renewed?
I can't say 100% how it would affect my business. All I can tell you is how it has affected my business since you've allowed me to have it. And in the year that I've had my liquor license, business has gone up. Sales has gone up. Obviously, I wish rent didn't go up, but it helps me with the rent going up and everything else. I mean, it helps me with the economy. I mean, the economy's going up, food costs are up. And yeah, it's generated me, I've got better sales this last year than I did the year before without it. So that's where I'm at, and it affects everybody. My staff has allowed me to give them a little bit more money in raise-wise. My servers, it's affected them because the tickets are a little bit more. They see a couple more people, more groups, so they get a little bit more on their tips. So yes, it's greatly, and my customers are happy. They come in, it gives them an option. And it gives groups an option. Like I said, in downtown Littleton, it gives groups an option. If you go out with 3 people and one person wants to have a beer, but the other 3 doesn't, which is fine, but it definitely takes you out of the picking process if you don't have the license right away. They're like, well, we can't go there. Stan wants to drink, but they don't have a liquor license, And so it's helped me tremendously on that aspect of it. And I'm honest with you, I value it. I treat it like it's something super important. I mean, like I said, we've never had any complaints or anything. No underage drinking, no over-serving, none of that stuff. It's just a family business with a little bit, just a little restaurant.
Any further questions?
I think I have any.
Does the city attorney have any input?
No, I don't believe I have any. If you have any questions for me.
This is a public hearing, right?
Yes.
Do we need to ask? Do we need to make sure there's no one else who wants to? Is there anyone else here on your behalf that would like to testify?
No, sir.
No, okay.
No.
Is there anyone, do you mind if I ask? Is there anyone else here who would like to testify? Okay. I don't, this is probably as much for a city attorney. So I think, when we look back a year ago, when we provided the liquor license, there was a history, we talked about mitigating factors, decided to grant the license. As far as this goes, it seems to me it meets the criteria where we could show cause to not renew the license, but obviously we could consider any mitigating circumstances. When the licensee was back a year ago, part of the question was the history and moving on from that and things like that. Soon thereafter was when the conviction happened, and I appreciate that you were honest on the application, so you disclosed it, when you were asked, the year later. But is there any criteria for, if we were to renew the application? I know that we have the ability to renew with conditions. If a condition would be something like reporting any other, obviously any convictions, but what I'm wondering is anything less than a conviction, what that would look like if there were any other run-ins with the law.
Yeah, absolutely. We can put conditions on the renewal of a license, and some possibilities for the authority to consider would be, that there be no further convictions. It sounds like he's on probation, so there would be consequences for that. But also if there's, any contact with the police, perhaps that rises to the level of an arrest, that be reported, and that's easy for our police department to verify, and it would certainly come up at the next renewal, that if that hadn't been reported to us when it happened during the year, that would be something you could consider then at the next renewal application.
But aren't those conditions implicit in renewing the license anyway? By renewing the license, we can always suspend or revoke the license if any of those conditions happen, whether it's this gentleman's license or somebody else's.
If there's a conviction during the year, is that what you're asking, Chairman Brown?
In the upcoming year, not the past year.
It would depend on so as we discussed at the beginning, it has to be a felony conviction or a conviction for a crime of moral turpitude. And so, the condition I think I was discussing would be that if there were any sort of involvement with the police and not necessarily related to a felony charge, or a crime of moral turpitude, that he just needs to report it to the authority so that that we can track it as it goes through the system. Normally, we probably wouldn't bring it to the authority if the person had gotten, say, a misdemeanor conviction at some point during the year, because that wouldn't necessarily rise to the level of concern for the applicant's character, record, or reputation.
Let me ask a hypothetical condition question then. If we added a condition that we conditionally renewed the license for a year, and that if there were any immediate or extant violation of Littleton's liquor code or any complaint or citation, that we immediately suspend the privilege of the restaurant to serve liquor until there's a hearing, is that a condition we can add?
Well, I guess that would give me pause, because I think that the standard for suspending the license that there needs to be some sort of threat to public safety. And I'm not sure that there's a really direct connection between some sort of citation, with the licensed establishment. He could be cited for, not posting his license in a visible place or something like that, and there really wouldn't be that connection. So
What I'm suggesting is that we need an enforcement mechanism to ensure that Mr. Nguyen understands the value of his license other than just having the license.
correct. So
But if we were to have a condition of some sort of reporting function, then we could always consider, okay, so let me take a two-step question. So if we renew with a condition to report if there's any sort of arrest or I suppose violation, although we would see that, under our standard procedures, but if there was, say, an arrest, if that were to happen, and then that comes in front of us, then what remedies would we have from that point?
So then at that point, we could go to show cause, or, I mean, it would, I mean, it depend how we structured it. I think what you're talking about is that we would just notify you, and then we would probably schedule it for a hearing.
We
for
would,
X
right, we would be able
minutes.
to have a consideration, then, okay.
Yes.
Because-
Not that it would be an immediate revocation simply because he had
Right.
reported an arrest, but.
Right, because where I'm going with this is, I understand the context of, of what you brought to us. I think there certainly are some mitigating factors, especially the fact that you registered a business and were operating publicly. At the same time, we had a discussion about prior, a year ago when you came in for an application, we had a discussion about history and, following the law and things like that. And then there was almost a whole year, after there was the issue going on in the system. And not that I don't completely believe that you are motivated by probation to follow the law, but I think as far as where I'm coming from and representing the city and the people of Littleton, I don't, though I think there's the potential, there is potential for cause, I find the mitigating factors to be that I would rather renew the application, or renew the license. But I think it would be helpful, for us to have some sort of reporting mechanism so that, we can show that it's important to us too. You know what I mean? And that's where, so.
Yes, sir. I understand where you're coming from with that, and I totally appreciate the fact that you're even considering it and looking through everything that I've explained to you and, actually giving me an opportunity. I have no problems with any of the conditions that you set forth. Like I said before, honestly, you guys gave me the liquor license, out of your kindness there, and you guys looked past a lot of stuff and saw past stuff, give me that chance. And I have operated over a year in your community without any incidents as far as the liquor license is concerned. Obviously, I understand my convictions in Denver was something totally different. It didn't really have anything to do with the liquor. As far as the liquor is concerned, though, in the past year that I've held one from the city of Littleton, there has not been any problems, and I will continue to do that. So any kind of conditions that you put forth on the renewal of the license, I believe that will be successful, and you'll get another year of no instances as far as the liquor license stuff is concerned, and other stuff, because I am in probation in Denver.
A question for you, Andrew. How would you word that?
I think based on the conversation we just had, I think it would be, that the applicant notify the licensing authority via the city clerk of any arrest.
Yeah.
And obviously, so
It's at a time limit to within,
within 30 days
30 days of the arrest.
of any arrest. And so that would obviously, because again, we're going to see any potential violations of the liquor code, we would see through a normal
Yeah.
process.
Yeah. I think keeping this targeted to the individual, because that's why we're here, is for
Right.
the individual. And we'll see anything related to the business on its own.
Right. Right.
I'm on the same page with Mr. Cole. I think we need some enforcement mechanism, and I think we can structure the wording so that Mr. Nguyen knows what his additional responsibilities are.
Yes, absolutely. And so then from staff, the way we would handle that then is when he notifies the clerk, then we would place it on your agenda, and then you could determine at that point whether to have a hearing. And at that point, we would see it moving through the system too, about whether the arrest has been dismissed or there's, he's going through the case, or give you an update then, and we can see.
Right, and
also what's
that
our-
continues to give us the ability to see it in due process if he's in the wrong place at the wrong time and it's an arrest that gets dismissed. Still have the opportunity to go through that explanation or anything like that.
Yes.
And to Ms. Mather's point, we need to add some wording that he continues to fulfill the terms of his probation as dictated by the city and county of Denver.
So I'm going to make a motion. I move that the renewal application for Pho Real LLC doing business as Pho Real 2399 West Main Street be approved, subject to the following conditions. That the applicant notify the licensing authority via the city clerk of any arrest within 30 days of the arrest. And that he continue to fulfill the obligations of his probation
For a period of?
for the period of the license, which would be 1 year.
Yeah.
We have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
So of any arrest, not just any other action, it has to be an actual arrest?
Yeah.
Well, my thought, I mean, both, the way I look at it, both have, it's mostly a tracking mechanism, right? I mean, it would be hard for us to say to the applicant, if you ever talk to the police, you have to come talk to us, because I don't know. One, he could very well, in his regular course of business, have a reason to, interact with the police. So that seems to me like the lowest threshold at which it would indicate to us that there is a problem, but something that, as Kristen mentioned, that we could still verify.
And then we can take that information, and if it's an arrest for something innocuous or something we should not be considering, we can not hold a hearing, or we could hold a hearing, get an explanation, and not take it any further.
Okay.
Sergeant Hampton just suggested that it would be an arrest or citation, because you could be cited and it wouldn't necessarily result in an arrest. Also, I had one question. What else are there other terms of your probation that the authorities should be aware of other than that you not? I mean,
The terms of my probation was 50 hours community service, 4 years of probation, and that in the 4 years on probation, I'm not involved in any marijuana business.
no marijuana business. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the difference between the arrest and the citation, example of the citation would be,
You could have a simple assault and get a citation and not get arrested.
I see.
They just issue you the ticket, right,
Right.
and you move on.
Would a citation, though, also include like a speeding ticket?
It would. So perhaps we don't want any traffic violations. So misdemeanor citations?
Well, and we're also not concerned in this discussion with liquor violation, because that would come to our attention
Right.
Right.
anyway.
So you said
So it's
misdemeanor?
anything other, the license would be jeopardized by a liquor violation. This particular license would be jeopardized by any kind of arrest or citation for any kind of a misdemeanor or even less
Yes, sir.
of a crime.
Yes, sir.
So
I can go along with that.
so the suggestion is a,
My suggestion is
Arrest or a
arrest
citation.
or a citation other than
Citation
for a traffic
other than for
violation.
Other than moving violation?
Yeah, because if there were a DUI, we'd want to know about it.
which that'd be an arrest, right? If there is a DUI. Okay.
Just
So,
exclude traffic violations.
so,
A DUI is a misdemeanor, correct?
Still an arrest.
It would be an
But
arrest.
it's still an arrest.
It's mandatory arrest.
Yeah.
okay, so to make it clean, I'm going to withdraw my motion, and I'm going to make a new motion. I move that the renewal application for Pho Real LLC doing business as Pho Real 2399 West Main Street be approved subject to the following conditions. That the applicant notified the licensing authority via the city clerk of any arrest or citation except for traffic violations within 30 days of the arrest or the citation. And that he continue to fulfill the conditions of his probation during the license year.
I'll second the substitute motion.
Say to the applicant, if there's any question about whether
Oh,
you should
yeah.
report it, please just call my office or call the clerk's
No, I
office.
will.
And we
I
can
will.
talk about
I
it
will.
so that there isn't.
Clean knows
we
we're
wanna
good about,
make sure
we're good
that-
about communicating.
Okay.
So we're really good about communicating with the city, so.
Okay, great.
Yeah, if I were you, I would over-report that.
Yeah, we don't, like I said, I'm trying to hide anything. There's nothing to hide. It was really.
They're there.
Right.
And
Right.
that's
And you
their
guys,
job.
you know, and I'd rather just get in front of you guys and explain to you guys because you guys are decent people, you know. You're listening, you're understanding where I'm coming from and not being judgmental and being open-minded. I appreciate that, and I will further be honest and operate with integrity and report anything that needs to be reported to you guys.
We haven't voted yet.
I'm just saying, that's my part of it. The lobby.
Will the city clerk please poll the authority regarding the motion?
Authority Chair Bradish.
Yes.
Vice Chair Cole,
Yes.
Authority Member Lavere,
Yes.
Authority Member Mather,
Yes,
Authority Member Webb.
Yes.
The motion's carried. Mr. Nguyen, your license will be renewed.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate your forthrightness in reporting all this information to the
Yes, sir.
city.
Yes, sir.
We also appreciate the fact that you've run your restaurant without any violations for over a year now.
Yes, sir.
And good luck.
Thank you, sir. Thank
Stay
you.
away from marijuana.
I'm so far from that.
Nguyen, one additional thought. When you came before this authority in November of 2014, there was discussion about this license is a privilege. So this is a reaffirmation of the fact that this is a privilege that the authority and the city of Littleton grants to you, and so we expect you to hold up your end of the bargain.
Yes, sir, I will. Thank you. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
You guys have a great day.
Thank you.
good luck.
Next item of business is all the way down to item 16. Any reports from the staff?
So I just wanted to take the opportunity to introduce the authority to Lena McClelland.
Welcome.
She is our new assistant city attorney, and so she will be attending the meetings with myself or Corey Hoffman, doing some training, and hopefully eventually we'll be moving over to this seat.
Well, we know she's going to be well-trained.
Thank you.
Seems like only yesterday when you were the
When
assistant
I
city
was sitting
attorney.
there, yeah.
Yeah.
Anything from the city clerk?
No.
Anything from authority members?
Just a question, what do we have facing us in the next 2 months?
Next month, we do have an application for a new license that was originally on the agenda for this evening, but the applicant asked that it be postponed to next month. And other than that, in April, we will be looking at some new authority members. Next month, in March, will be the final authority appearance of Chair Bradish, as well as authority member Mather, who opted not to reapply for this term. So,
So there'll be 4 new members.
2. We have two. Well, we have.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Authority Member Webb and Authority Member Lavere have reapplied. And then your position will be vacant, as well as Authority Member Mathers. So in April, we will start our meetings at 6:30 instead of 7, and we will elect a new chair and a new vice chair at that time.
Problem for you.
That's April, that's not March.
That's April. March will be the last hearing with Authority Chair Bradish sitting and with Authority Member Mather. And then the new authority members
Let's hope
take
I
over in
survive till
April.
then.
Just to be clear, Mr. Lavere and I are the holdovers, right? Our terms don't expire for another couple of
No.
years.
Cole and I have reapplied.
Oh, have you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, yours, I believe, Authority Member Webb, you expire in 2017, so you will have to reapply next year.
They're 3-year terms, is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
So we will be having cake afterwards? Is that what I heard? Cake?
Liquor.
What kind of cake do you want, Ann?
Chocolate.
Grand Marnier.
Rum.
Anything else from the members? The chair has nothing. With that, I'll adjourn the meeting.
Okay, thank you.